I'm so excited to have Debbie Squizzero on the show. This has been a long time coming. I've been wanting to talk to Debbie on the podcast for other people to hear her story. Debbie, I'm so happy that you're here, and I can't wait for people to learn more about you.
Oh, Lindsay, that's beautiful. Oh my
And,
gosh.
and what I would love for you to share with everyone listening, there's a lot of people listening that they're mediums themselves, and other people are people that are grieving and they're dealing with their own losses in their life. And what I would love for you to do is just tell us just a little bit about you, where you're from, and really just how you got into mediumship.
Oh my goodness. It's been a long journey, a beautiful journey, a hard journey. It's bittersweet. It's been a very long journey. So I am 54 and it started when I was 6. And when I was 6, I want to say I was around 6. I don't want to say I was exactly 6, but that's kind of, I'll say, my first memory or memories of what I now understand of a series of events that kind of led up to where I am now, because we all have a different journey on this mediumship journey. So I remember going to bed at night and my bed would face my closet. And I would say to my mom, Mom, can you close my closet door? Because people come out of my closet. And she'd be like, Debbie, what are you talking about? And I would say to her, Mom, I don't know. And I tell people, like, listen, it wasn't people like you and I see, like us. It looked
Yeah.
like when you watch like a I don't know, it's like a paranormal or ghost hunters, like they were like ethereal. That's how I saw them. And they would just come out and they wouldn't bother me. They would just come out of my closet and then sometimes they'd walk out into the hallway and and when I would ask my mom to close the closet door, well, they're ethereal and they would come right through. So it didn't matter. I now know, those are beautiful deceased loved ones. I didn't know there were somebody's. I don't know. Maybe they were mine. I was too young to know. And then after that, that was like around 6. And then as my journey keeps going to like into my teens, I noticed a few things happened in my teens through my 20s. So in my teens, I noticed, and into my 20s, people started telling me like their deepest, darkest things. And they would say to me, Debbie, I've never told anybody this before. And I'd be like, and I would find this to be happening over and over. And then I finally, and I could feel, I'd be like, well, they're not, I could feel they are like telling me the truth. I could feel like it was just that knowing of, no, they're telling me the truth. They're not, making this up. And finally, something said to me, I started to ask people and I said, why do you tell me these things? And the answer was very the same or very similar, where they would say to me, well, you give good advice, or the things that you tell me end up working out, or good or bad. Like things just end up rolling out this way. And I now know this was like, how we say when we connect with spirit, we have like this subtle shift in awareness. So I was, I guess, on a very unconscious level, connecting with spirit, didn't know it. So the information was being channeled from spirit, but I just was like, well, I'm just being Deb Squizzero. I don't understand. I also, more specifically in my 20s, early 20s, I started to have very vivid dreams about my loved ones in heaven, down to like I could see the plaid in their shirt or the lines in their faces. And there was one commonality about my dreams, that no matter how my loved ones left this physical world, they always came back full of love in the dream, whether they passed tragically, old age, however they passed, it doesn't matter. They would all come back and the dream was so vivid, so real. I could feel them. The next day, I could still feel them. And the message was always the same: I'm safe. I'm good. I'm full of love. Whether they actually said it or it was a telepathic, like talking in the dream, or just like a clear knowing. I just knew.
That is, I love that you share that because people listening need to know that that's exactly how they can communicate too, telepathically also.
Yes, because we have those dreams where we don't talk, but we just know we're talking.
Exactly. So I'm curious, at that point when you were in your 20s, did you ever bring it up to your mom again? Like, I'm having these dreams, or did you tell anyone during that time?
My mom was always my go-to person who I always say had no answers for me, and I just love her dearly. I remember saying to her, asking her very profound questions like, So like, do I really go in the ground when I leave here? And my mother's like, where are you getting this from? I'm like, I don't know. They're just wonderings I have.
Right.
And, I had all this, I remember saying to her, like, did I see God before I came here? Like, I had all these profound, deep wonderings and questions. And back then, also in my 20s, there wasn't like, as you know, mediumship wasn't so mainstream. Like, there was like those core group of people,
Right.
James Van Prague being one of them. And he came out with his book, Talking to Heaven. I read his book and I said to my mom, this man has these experiences like I have. I go, he answered a lot of those questions
Yeah.
that you couldn't answer for me, right?
Oh, that's
And my mom's like, oh, I'm glad somebody could help you. And then he started to be on Oprah back in the day. And so that was also very helpful to me to be like, oh, okay, I still didn't get the full gist of what was going on, but at least I kind of had some of those questions answered.
yes.
Also in my 20s, this is really crazy because this is like how we can understand as mediums that we sometimes will tell people, like your loved one's saying this, and they'll be like, absolutely not. And I use this phrase always. I always go, this is my phrase. I tell people, take it with you. We don't have to have it figured out. I
Yeah.
love that Spirit says to me, listen, you people here are on Amazon Prime time. We are not. We are on divine orchestration time,
It's
right?
so
Which
true.
true, right? I was I couldn't come up with this if I tried. I hear it. They tell me. I'm
I
like,
love it.
I go, that's crazy good.
It
It's
is.
true.
It's true.
And so in my 20s, I on and off, I was very connected to a woman who read cards but was also a medium. And every time I remember two things she used to say to me all the time when I would sit down with her on and off because I was so um obsessed in some way and intrigued, or intrigued is a better way. I was so intrigued by how she connected me with my loved ones, but also would guide me on my path with things that would be coming up in my life.
Yeah.
And one of the things she would say to me, well, these are the two things she would say. You'd have to sit down with her and you'd also have to tell her your birth sign. You have to tell her your birth sign. And I would say, Capricorn. She goes, you feel a little Sag to me, Sagittarius. You're not a full Capricorn. She would always say that to
That's
me.
funny. I'm a Sagittarius.
I love it. And
Yeah.
she would also say to me, Debbie, you're going to do this work. Now, I'm in my 20s. I'm like, you are out of your freaking mind. I love coming here. You help me so much. I'm not doing this work. I'm going to go be a teacher. That's what I'm going to go do.
Yes.
And she told this to me every time I sat with her. And I almost every time, if not almost every time, that I'd be like, in your 20s, you just roll your eyes like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. And it wasn't until my 30s that, and the other thing too that happened, because I just heard Spirit say it, I would say to my mom a lot, I would say to her some profound things, or I would say to her, one of them was, she said to me, Debbie, very early in life, you looked at me and said, I'm not having any children. If you're gonna have some grandchildren, that's gonna be your sister. My sister, she's gonna give you grandchildren. I'm not. So I knew very early in life I wasn't having children. That was not part of my plan. Although I love children and I love animals, neither of which I have of my own, but I do love them. um, and there was something else, but it will come back. But that was one of the things. And oh, that was the other one. I used to say to my mom also, Mom, why do all these things happen to me? Like in my teens and in my 20s, I'd be like, all this like hard, heavy, like, what? I don't understand these things. I now know that those things had to happen so I could understand them, have compassion, and hold space for the people that come to me. Because Lindsay, you've taught me this, that Spirit is going to bring you the people that you're supposed to help. And so many times it's people that have had similar experiences that I relate to.
Yeah.
So now I understand that all that had to happen so I could have the experience, hold space, and we say, and it's the truth, you truly don't know somebody's experience firsthand until you walk in their shoes, but you can have compassion and hold space and to some degree know what they're going through. So that
Yeah.
was another thing that happened. And then in my 30s, it all blew wide open for me in my early 30s. And it blew open in a way that I find that, like yourself, when something like you had a very tragic event and it opened everything in the spirit world. And it was the same way for me. I had an emotional event in my life that affected me. And everything just opened. And I was seeing and hear all these little breadcrumbs along the way just kind of all would come together. So they all would come together in my 30s. And the woman that I sat with all in my 20s, I was like, oh God, maybe this is what she's talking about. And all this time I was telling her, what is she talking about? And it was, I always say, listen, this was back 20 years ago. Okay.
Right.
Remember the phone that was in the bag, the big bag that was coming on the scene,
Mhm.
AOL online, just coming on the scene,
Yeah.
that coming up. We were in a whole different world. And so I emailed, because this is how I'd make my appointment with the woman. I would email her. I emailed her and I was like, I've got to come and see you. I said, I know it's been like a year or a couple of years, And she wrote me back and said, Debbie, I'm in Rhode Island. She was in Rhode Island. She said, I have to tell you, I've moved. I'm now in Canada.
Oh, wow.
I'm in Canada and I'm doing on the phone because this is all we did back in the day. I'm on the phone. And of course, she was so incredibly wonderful at what she did. She had a wait list of like 4 months now. And I was like, oh God, I can't wait 4 months. I need some help like right now. Like, I don't even understand what's going on. Like, I'm seeing and I'm hearing and I don't know what to do with all this stuff. And I was teaching at the time, and the beautiful ladies that I was teaching with, I was like, "Do you guys believe in this kind of stuff? And if you do, is there anybody you see?" So they recommended this local healer to me, and she's a complete, oh my gosh, she was such a doll. And I went to her, and of course, what does she say? She reiterates what this woman was saying to me all through my 20s. And she's like, "Do you know?" And I said, "Okay, listen, I'm just going to bottom line this for you because I'm like a decade older now. So I'm a little wiser. Every decade we become a little older, a little wiser."
Yeah.
And I said, "Are you saying to me, you just brought like peace to me and clarity with my life and all of this crazy emotional stuff that's going on, but you also put all the pieces together for me and you help me understand what my connection is." And I said, and you connected me with my loved ones on the other side. So I said, "Are you telling me that I can do the same thing? Like this is what I can bring this kind of peace and healing and connect people with their loved ones?" She said, "Yes." I go, "Well, then you sign me up right now." I said,
You
"You sign me
knew.
up right now." I go, "What do I have to do?" And I took every class that I could from her. I learned a lot about the angels from her. I'm so grateful. I learned a lot about the angels from her. Um,
Isn't it funny how the timing, even though years before you were told something, which can happen to a lot of people where you're like, oh, you're told to go do this. It could be like take a trip or whatever. You're like, no, it's not going to happen, or I don't want to do it now. But when it's the right timing for you, the divine timing, there's no other option, right? Did you feel like you were like
Absolutely.
jumping out of your skin? You're like, I have to take this class with her.
Yes. And I couldn't sign. It's so true. And I always feel like, so you're not resonating in that, I don't know, that energy or that. So
Yeah,
that's why we say no, no, no. It's so true. And like as they say, because I just heard the phrase, whatever is meant for you is never going to pass you by. If you
it's so
say no
true.
to it at the beginning, it's going to come back in a different way until you say yes, or until you know this is the timing for you. And so I took, oh my God, I still have my notes in a binder from 20 years ago from every
Wow.
beautiful class I took from this woman. And then I worked out of my home very quietly. I took any guinea pig that wanted to come and sit with me at my home, word of mouth. And I did online. Anybody who wanted an email reading, I found that worked very well for me. So I did email readings.
And this was while you were teaching too, right? Or were you teaching at that point?
Yep, I was
So,
teaching.
so this is good to know too, because some people, when they're first coming out as mediums, it's scary to have these two different lives happening.
Yes. And I have to tell, and I worked quietly behind the scenes for 10 years. I worked 10
Wow.
years, nights and weekends, behind the scenes before I finally had the courage to leave my teaching position. And so so I worked out of my house. And then eventually Spirit was like, when you're meant to do something, they brought me an opportunity to work out of an office space. It was actually a friend of mine who had a beautiful massage healing place, and she wouldn't take no for an answer. She's an angel herself. And I started just doing like one or two readings a month there because that's all my energy could sustain at that time.
Yes.
As we know, mediumship is you got to build your power over time and your connection with spirit. That's all I could, especially after teaching all day. And I had kindergarten and first grade special education. I had those babies and they
Yeah.
are so cute, but they could take a lot out of you.
Totally.
So,
It's energy. Okay, so now I'm curious to kind of go back to that mode of when you were doing the readings, did you ever feel that feeling when you were doing your one-on-ones like, okay, now I feel like my energy can't be split between these two things? Like, was there a moment where, you felt that way? I know a lot about your story, but I want other people to hear, like, what was that point like when you knew?
so Spirit was trying to tell me, and this is where I go, my narrow-minded, stubborn Italianness comes in, because Spirit was telling me for a long time, Debbie, we need to leave teaching. I go, where do you people think we're going to go? This is going to be retirement for me. Like, I was so afraid. Like, and this is what I've learned. The thing that we fear the most is really the thing we need to jump into and embrace the most in this earth school physical world. And so I fought spirit for a long time, and they were saying to me, listen, take a year leave of absence. I'm like, guys, I can't. And so what finally happened was after fighting, and I don't mean fighting, like just being thick and being afraid and thinking I can't do this full time. This is a great part-time thing. And it was catching up with me. I was feeling so grateful to be booking out at this point. And I was like, how do I keep up with this? So taking a year leave of absence was put across my plate by spirit. And I was like, yeah, no. And what I found was the more that I resisted taking this year leave of absence, the more that spirit was like, so listen, we're going to wear you down. And I was becoming, things at my day job, at my teaching job, were becoming increasingly difficult because Spirit was trying to say to me, Debbie, you're outgrowing this space and you're not listening. And I wasn't. And I was outgrowing the space. And the love and the passion that I had was slowly shifting. And I was having a hard time embracing that because I was afraid. And so finally, Spirit just started to make me, I was getting physically sick a lot. I want to say I was getting energetically, not sick, but run down. And I think that was causing the physical illness. So finally, I was so conflicted that I finally said to Spirit, okay, I surrender. And I remember standing by my nightstand and going, I just need you to help heal this whole situation for my career and my divine life purpose for my highest and best good, because I clearly don't know what that is and I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you surrender and you ask what's for your highest and best, I always tell people when we ask to heal something, it's not really nice and pretty, right?
That is so true. And
It
sometimes we have to physically, the emotional comes first and then the physical starts to come. And then it's like you have no other option.
Exactly. And so Spirit was just like, so get ready because we're going to really pull like a rug trick on you and the tablecloth trick. And your world's going to be like, as Diana Ross says, upside down. And so Spirit, I actually had a stress induced mental and emotional breakdown. And I didn't even know that that's what I was going through. I didn't even know that's what you call it, or all the things like where you don't sleep and where you're taking all those beautiful tranquilizers to just help you
Mhm.
focus. And I didn't realize this until and then you don't eat, and then all these things that were happening that I was just like, oh, this is a breakdown. It was my primary care who was like, listen, and she knew what I did, what two
Yeah.
things. And she was like, Debbie, I broke down in her office and she's like, you're having a breakdown. She goes, how long do you think you could sustain this? I go, till retirement. And she's like, no, clearly no. So that I always say was the best, worst thing that ever happened to me because I took a leave, but in my family, I didn't tell anybody what was going. I kept it very quiet. I told people after the fact.
Right.
Why? Because I needed to work this out for myself. And that's how I felt. Like they're gonna worry because they're your family, they're gonna worry about you, of course, right? But I was like, I need to figure this out for me. And so I took that time and I told them after the fact. Um, and it was really that blessing. So I ended up taking that year leave of absence. And what happened was amazingly, that what I found was you were in that year leave of absence, I didn't have benefits. I had to pay for my benefits a hefty amount. And when things are meant to be, when I tell you everything aligned. Spirit made sure that even if it was by the skin of my teeth, that I was going to make that payment for my insurance to be able to be free to live my passion or to help others, which blew my mind every time. And it was like Billy Joel, A Matter of Trust. And it truly
Yes,
was
I
all the songs, all the time.
love
And it truly was a matter of trust with Spirit, like Spirit saying, Debbie, listen, surrender, because my God, you're strong arming us, surrender, and we'll show you the way. And it's not going to be easy and it's not pretty, but we'll show you the way, but you have to trust. And so
it.
that's
Gives me
what
goosebumps.
happened.
That
And
is,
everything just aligned in that way on that leave of absence for a year. Oh, and then in when school came back and they said after my year, Debbie, you coming back? I'm like, heck no.
you knew.
As Tony says, hell no.
Exactly, exactly. Well, isn't it amazing how sometimes it takes that push or that feeling of, okay, something's not working, I'm drained energetically, and we have to get to that
Yeah.
point at times. And I think it's beautiful that you followed that nudge where you knew you had to take a break no matter what. I think people listening to this, it's important to notice that the signs of feeling like, wait a second, I used to like this, and now I'm feeling like it's more stressful and and all of this sort of thing that happens. But I love how you mentioned the surrendering process because it really truly is that's the hardest part, I think, surrendering
Oh,
and waiting and is it going to work out and trying to have faith at the same time and waiting at the same time.
yes. And
But
and
watch them.
knowing that it's not always going to work out the way that you think
Yes.
too. Because I remember saying to you, because you were a very, very vital and important part of my transition process. You literally held my hand, helped me to have faith in myself, believe in myself, to trust the signs that you're being led in the right direction and to surrender. And I remember saying to you, "Oh, Lindsay, what am I doing? Like, am I in my office all day?" And you're like, "Listen, they'll make it clear to you." And the funny thing is, they did. But again, the surrender was, Debbie, it's not going to be the way that you think. And at that time, we were in COVID, and so part of my journey is in life too, is I had a weight loss journey. So working out is just a huge part of my life and has been for 20 years. And I receive some of my best connections when I'm running. It's just, I'm so relaxed, spirit comes in. And they kept showing me during COVID when I was running, because I remember saying to you, like, what am I? And you're like, you're going to figure it out. It's part of, trust spirit. And I'm like, okay. And I would go running and I would run by this cute little water venue near my home at the time. I don't live there anymore. And they kept showing me doing a group there. And I go, you people are out of your mind. I'm not getting up in front of those people. I'm not doing it. And sure enough, I kept getting the nudge where I said, fine. I said, but we will do it for a small group of people only. Only. This was never my intention to do groups like this. Never.
And
My
I
intention.
I felt it the whole time. I could see it all over you. I'm like, she's doing groups, she's gonna like it better than anything else too.
And I do. And I couldn't see it. And the funny thing is, I thought I would like teach classes no, I taught for 23 years. I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. I don't have the passion for me is I love people and I love to talk to people and I love to connect with people. And that's really my passion. And to do it in this way, it was very unexpected in the way I thought it was going to be.
I love that you're sharing this, and also do want to talk about quickly too about the workout journey. Do you mind telling us what was the thing that catapulted you into having that lifestyle of healthy living and working out and all that? Because you were at our retreat too. We had a conversation around this.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's such a journey I want you to kind of go down that road. Like, what caused that? Because there's so many things that cause us in life to switch our tracks. So can you share that?
Absolutely, because it piggybacks so beautifully on in my 30s when everything just opened up for me. So when I was going through that really crazy emotional time in my life with something that had happened, situation in my life, I was gaining weight. I was like, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't fit into my clothes. It was just, I was so frustrated, but it was like everything just culminating in my life. And I remember, again, stumbling, but not stumbling upon at the days when you'd go to the bookstore and they would have the bestsellers out in the front. And there was a book by this gentleman called Body for Life, Bill Phillips. And I remember buying his book and I was so inspired by it. I loved the teacher in me, loved that he mapped everything out. Like, this is how to exercise. This is what, and I go, oh my God, I'm eating all the wrong things. I'm in a bad place in my life. I'm on antidepressants. I'm like, I've got to get myself healthy. So his book kickstarted me into like changing because it was so mapped out for me. And it was working when I started doing so I was cleaning up my life mentally and emotionally. Now I was cleaning up my life physically with my food. And I found that I was becoming a clearer channel when I was cleaning everything up. And then
Yes.
when I started losing the weight, I would go to the gym and people would say to me, "Did you ever think about competing?" I go, "What is that? Competing what? What do you do?" I had no idea. And I looked into it and I had gone to a couple of shows. And so I ended up losing my weight. And this was so beautiful that it got me on this track because it helped me everything with my spiritual stuff, with my mental, physical, everything. And I ended up losing weight and doing what they would call back in the day. They still have them now. It's just a little bit different figure competitions.
Yes.
And that really was such an important part of my journey. And it really helped me to plug in with spirit and myself and the discipline because mediumship is also discipline. You have to discipline yourself. And it doesn't just happen. If you want spirit to show up for you, you need to show up for spirit. So you got to put in the work. So it was a really great way to discipline myself, but in just growing mentally and emotionally and helping me on my spiritual journey. And to this day, I still, people are like, "You're so fit." I'm like, listen, I will never go back. I have the tools now. And
Yes.
they help me in so many beautiful ways in my life that I will never go back because and I find that lifting weights really, as we do this work, we're so empathic and sometimes we're so like, we get anxiety. And I find that the heavy work of the weights really grounds me and the running just gets that out of me. And it's one of my tools that has always worked for me, but I feel like spirit put that in place first. Like,
Yes.
these are
It's
your tools.
funny. Yeah, it's like the stepping stones. Sometimes we have to reflect after, like, and we're on our journey. We look back, we're like, oh, that's why that happened. That's why I was trained in this. Um,
Yeah.
and it's funny because years ago, I'm like, oh, I don't believe in, having to eat healthy to be a clear channel, and I would resist against it. And then I started to go through my own journey, not in the way of the figure competitions or anything like that, but I recognized in working with all these students that there is a difference with mediums that are taking care of their physical well-being and their emotional well-being. You can truly tell a difference. And anyone listening to this, people that know you and people that are just meeting you now, can feel your energy and your vital energy. And I feel like that's why the people that you work with get so much healing, like in your
Oh, thank
groups
you.
and in your private one-on-ones, even people you come into contact with, you're like a ray of sunshine.
Oh,
And
thank you.
you are putting in the work. Like, I think that's a big thing that's so important, that sometimes people walk in on a page in your book, in your life at a certain point, and they're like, oh, it came easy to her. No, you put in the work. Like, you continue to do that. And that's why Tony and I have loved working with you. And I kind of want to touch on that,
Yes,
about the
please.
importance of always being a student, because you and I have had this conversation we just did before we started this episode. Can you talk, at this last piece, about the journey of your mediumship development and how that's helped you to always be a student?
Absolutely, because it is a vital part of my journey and continues to be. Like, I always say I am an eternal student. And and we had this conversation earlier where I say, I've had other teachers, but you are my mentor, truly. I have been with you and Tony, I think since 2019. And so many things in what I do are because of what I've learned from you and from Tony. And it is just all about like the masterminds that I've taken, like has really helped me with my business and how to get clear. And one of the things that you had taught me was when I had worked and I was taking that leave of absence and then decided I wasn't going back. And you had said to me, so Debbie, how do you want to do your schedule? It was part of like our mentoring sessions. And I was like, God, I don't know. And then I thought about it and I remember saying to you, you know what, Lindsay, I worked nights and weekends for 10 years. So I said, I want to work a weekend if I want to, but I would rather. So it made me really restructure my schedule. But I also love that even though as far as I am in my journey, I always continue like you and Tony will put something up. I'm like, oh, I could learn from that. I say the day you think you've learned it all, I personally feel like you're in trouble. There's always more to learn, more to do. I have learned the retreat was unbelievable. It took me to another level, gave me a lot of confidence. I came back. I actually have over here, you can't see it, I'll show it to you later. In a frame on that retreat, you had us write a letter, and we didn't know what we were
Oh,
doing with
yeah.
this letter at the time. And it really was a letter to you, but we didn't know it. And I that letter has so much meaning to me. I put it in a frame and it's over here.
Oh, I love that.
Truly. And just all of the things like from your business course, mediumship has like, if you're going to run your business, there was just so many like, do you want a mentor? Like learn from you. Absolutely. I did that. Then there was this business piece. You offered this, the business coaching and the mastermind absolutely helped me so much. I continue to use all of those things in my, you took me by the hand, you and Tony, and truly have been like such an influential piece in my whole journey, truly. Like I said, I've studied with other people along the way, yes, but you are my mentor. You have, you've, I sing Josh Groban. I heard you lift me up, you supported me, but offered the tools and the confidence so I recommend you to other people. I'm always like, they're like, do you teach? I'm like, no, but let me recommend my beautiful mentor to you because
Oh,
she will help you. And it is just so important. You never stop learning. The
yeah,
world is changing. Mediumship is changing
it is.
constantly. And so if you think you've arrived, I'm always like, oh, no, we're in trouble if you think that. That's just how I personally, there's
I
always more to
totally
learn.
agree. I
Knowledge is
totally,
power, as they say, right?
it is so true. And that's why we love working with you because you're always open. You're so open, and I think all of us being teachers, the teacher vibe is we know the power of the knowledge and the experience and the thing that I love too, Debbie, about you is you are who you are. Like you're going to show up as who you are, and that's the most important thing for you is to just be you. And you're not someone that replicates things. You're like, this is who I am. And I love that you're always thinking of music, even in regular conversations, and you bring that into mediumship. And you don't put yourself in a box, and that's the one thing that we always teach is don't put yourself in a box, like really be free. And you are living the example of just being you while doing mediumship. And I think that's so beautiful. And I hate to say it, it's hard to find, but I do notice that there's some people that they're not comfortable, they don't know what to do for them just being themselves. So that's why I really wanted to interview you today, along with so many other reasons, because you're walking your talk. Like we just had this conversation.
Conversation.
Um,
Yeah. I
so it's just
that
so
that
beautiful.
just means everything. I thank you. I strive to be authentically me. You have taught me to just embrace who you are and be your vulnerable self. The more vulnerable and real you are, people relate to you, which is so true. And I learned that from you to just embrace that. And what you said just means the absolute world to me. And of course, it made me think of a song. I absolutely love Andy Grammer.
Oh, I
And
love him.
he has a song that's called damn it feels good to be me. And he talks about not putting yourself in a box and, not being that person. And sometimes it's hard to be like, not to be like everybody else. Damn it feels good to be me. Thank you. I was like, I
I
didn't sing it
love
right.
that.
Damn it feels good to be me,
Oh, I haven't listened to
And
that one. I
oh,
don't know if
you've
I
got
heard
to. And,
that
and it's like, you don't start living. He goes, Tia, kill that shade. And he says, talking about putting yourself in a box. And, not everybody's going to like you, but the people that you are supposed to help and that you resonate with are your people. That's your
one.
tribe, So I
Yeah.
thank you so much for that, for seeing that in me. Thank you. That means so
Debbie, of
much.
course. Now, I want other people, I'm going to ask you one question at the end, but before I
Okay.
do that, where can people find your information? And do you have anything coming up in the next few weeks or so that you want to share?
I'm in Rhode Island, so all my events are on my website under the event page. It's under Debbie Squizzero. So, and then if you go on there under the events page, I have a beautiful YouTube channel that I started, I can't believe 4 years ago now.
Wow.
And I answer a lot of questions that I got over the 10 years that I sat with my clients nights and weekends. A lot of them ask me the same questions. And I'm like, people want to know the answers to these because I had these wonderings. And now my clients are asking me these things or people at events. And so there's podcasts and I answer some questions there. I love my social media community. So I
Yes.
have a business page on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, and I'm there. And there's a lot of stuff on my website too. For some of those videos that are on YouTube are on my website. So
So
everything is there.
DebbieSquizzero.com, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
do you do online sessions for people that are not in the state
Oh
or
yeah, yeah. I do Zoom. Absolutely.
perfect?
Every service that you will find on my website, I also do a Zoom, which we know is just as powerful,
Yes.
whether we're in person or whether we're on a Zoom on a phone. Spirit
Same
is
energy.
spirit. And what I find sometimes that the being plugged into the energetics, sometimes whether it be a phone, like or the Wi-Fi, like sometimes
Right?
I find it's even more
I
powerful.
know, isn't it interesting how that
And
works?
and people think, no, I gotta be there. I'm like, no, listen, it
No,
is just as powerful
it
and
truly is.
effective.
It truly
Yeah.
is. Debbie, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your time and your energy. And I
Oh,
have one last question that I ask everyone at the end of this episode, and it is, if today was your last day, what would you like to be remembered for?
oh gosh. For being authentically myself, but also I want to say to be remembered for helping people and especially helping people through their grief by living my own life and helping them in that way. So I would hope that I'd be remembered that way. So just,
Thank you.
yeah, finding, what do they say? Leaving people better than you found them, especially during their times of grief, I would say for sure, to inspire them, to heal them, and to help them. Yeah. Lindsay, I can't thank you enough. I'm honored completely and just so grateful with so much gratitude, not just for everything that you and Tony have taught me and brought to my life, but to offer me this beautiful opportunity. I just beyond grateful. And I thank you. It means so, I don't even know if you think you know how much it
Oh,
means to me. Really, it
Debbie,
does.
we hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. If you liked it, leave a 5-star review on iTunes and remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel too.
If you can think of anyone else that would love this episode, share it with them right now on social media or email. And remember, getting results is a process of learning, applying, and reflecting. Stay consistent and continue to grow every day.